I have a serious question for you to start things off today. And I want you to be brutally honest with yourself.
Okay, lay it on me.
When was the last time you did absolutely 100% nothing?
We need to define nothing, though, because people, uh, they cheat on this answer.
Right, right. I don't mean listening to this while you're folding laundry. I don't mean scrolling Instagram with the TV on in the background.
Well,
I mean staring at a wall, sitting on a park bench, head empty, nothing. And more importantly, if you did manage to do that, did you feel a crushing sense of guilt?
that is the universal anxiety of the modern age, isn't it? We live in this world where time is like tracked like a financial budget.
Totally.
Every hour has to be spent or invested in some future return.
Yeah.
If you're not optimizing, you feel like you're failing.
It's relentless. I feel like I have this little foreman in my brain with a clipboard.
Yeah.
And if I'm just sitting on the couch, he walks in and goes, "Hey, you could be learning Italian right now. You
Yeah.
could be getting to inbox 0. It's exhausting." But today, we're doing a deep dive into a source that might just cure us of that.
It's a compelling narrative from Motivation Arc titled The Importance of Wasting Time. And it is not what you think.
Yeah, I want to be clear up front. The title sounds a little like clickbait. Like one of those life hacks where they tell you to take a nap so you can work harder later. That is not what this is. This is a complete deconstruction of how we view our own existence.
It's a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
The story moves from extreme laziness to extreme optimization, and the wisdom is found in realizing we might be thinking about time all wrong.
The difference between spending time and experiencing it.
Exactly.
So let's start where the narrator starts. And this is going to be, I think, uncomfortably relatable for a lot of people. We're going back to the teenage years.
Right.
The narrator's youth wasn't spent building startups or learning to code. It was video games.
And the source material is very specific here. This wasn't a casual player. This was a lifestyle. We're talking League of Legends, Call of Duty, Age of Empires, Minecraft.
Classic.
Coming home, tossing the backpack in the corner, and just booting up the computer until the sun came up.
I love the phrasing used in the text. Commanding cartoon figures in virtual worlds. It feels so important when you're doing it, doesn't it?
It's your whole universe.
You're saving the world, you're building a civilization, but then you zoom out.
And that's exactly what the narrator did later in life. They stopped playing and did the math. And I have to warn you, the math is staggering.
It is brutal. Let's break it down because the numbers really put this into perspective. The narrator estimates they spend about 10,000 hours playing video games.
10,000 hours.
That number is hard to visualize. So to put that in perspective, that's 20 hours a week, a part-time job for 10 years straight.
10 years.
Or if you treat it like a full-time job, 40 hours a week, that is 5 solid years of work. Just gone. Into the screen.
And that number, 10,000 hours, it probably rings a bell for a lot of people. It's that mastery number from Malcolm Gladwell.
Exactly. The idea that it takes 10,000 hours to become a world-class expert at something.
So the narrator is looking back at this mountain of time and thinking,
I could have mastered the violin. I could have written a novel. I could have been a competitive bike racer. But instead, I have a really nice castle in Minecraft.
and it leads to this profound sense of regret. The narrator uses this really visceral analogy. The toothpaste of time can't be put back into its tube.
That is such a sticky image. Once it's out, it's messy, and you can't reclaim it.
And the feeling was that those hours were frittered, flushed, and wasted. It's that realization that while you were leveling up a character, your peers were out building relationships, experiencing the real world.
You were basically in a stasis pod. That regret is a powerful fuel. And for our narrator, it triggered, well, a panic response.
And this is where it gets really interesting psychologically. They didn't just decide to cut back on gaming. They swung to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Enter the era of YouTube hustle culture and the discovery of Casey Neistat.
Ah, yes, Casey Neistat, the perfect archetype for this. For anyone who doesn't know, he's a filmmaker and YouTuber famous for daily vlogs. But his brand isn't just filming my day.
No, it's extreme high-octane hustle, the sunglasses, the boosted board through New York traffic, running marathons on a whim. The editing is fast, aggressive.
He is the total antithesis of the gamer lifestyle. He runs a business, has a family, travels constantly, and uploads a high-quality video every single day.
And the narrator watched a video where Casey talks about his time management philosophy, and it hit them like a revelation.
The philosophy is almost stoic. Casey quotes Seneca saying time is the most valuable resource. But he takes it a step further. He says, the only time I get bummed out or depressed is when I'm not being productive.
That is a wild statement when you really stop and think about it.
Nothing makes me less happy than relaxation. Imagine believing that relaxation is the enemy of happiness.
But it's a seductive belief, especially if you're coming from a place of deep regret over 10,000 wasted hours. You see someone like Casey and you think, that's the answer.
My laziness was the disease. This extreme productivity is the cure.
Exactly. So the narrator decides to copy him. They break down Casey's schedule. And looking at this list, it just sounds miserable to me.
Oh, it's insane. Listen to this perfect day. Work for 14 hours. Sleep for 4 hours. Family time, 3 hours. Exercise, 3 hours.
Okay, wait. And free time?
0. Literally 0 hours blocked out for just chilling.
It sounds like a robot, not a human being. But the narrator was hooked. They started Project Waste No Time.
But hold on, 4 hours of sleep, that's not sustainable. Did they actually pull this off?
They tried, and it was intense. Waking up early, exercising for an hour, working 10 hours straight at a desk job, walking home.
Probably listening to an educational podcast at 2x speed to optimize the walk.
You know it. And then working another 2 hours on side projects before crashing.
This is the phase the source calls the optimization mindset.
Right. The goal is to bend time to your will, to squeeze every drop out of the lemon. But here's where it gets interesting, and where the source material highlights a crucial trap.
Which is?
When you live like this, even the downtime isn't really downtime.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you stopped working, it wasn't to enjoy the break, it was to recharge so you could work harder later. Rest becomes a tool for production.
I think we've all fallen into that trap. I'll go for a run, not because I like running, but because it'll make me sharper for my meeting. It turns every part of being human into a transaction.
Exactly. You become a machine that requires maintenance rather than a person living a life.
So surely with all this productivity, the narrator was finally happy, right? They were writing articles, reading books, doing all the things they wished they'd done. They were winning.
You would think so. On paper, they were crushing it. But this is what the deep dive calls the paradox of productivity. Despite doing everything right, the narrator felt less satisfied than ever.
Less satisfied? How is that even possible?
Because the goalpost kept moving. They'd write an article, and instead of feeling proud, they'd think, okay, that's done. What's next? Why haven't I written the book yet? It was never enough.
And the emotional toll sounds exhausting. The source describes this guilt over seconds. If the narrator found themselves just lying in bed or dabbling on their phone for 5 minutes, they felt frustrated.
That guilt is the hallmark of the optimization mindset. It's the feeling that if you aren't producing, you don't matter.
Yeah.
But there's this one specific story in the source that really captures why this is so broken.
The mountaintop epiphany. Yes. This is the pivot point of the whole story.
It really illustrates the tragedy of this way of thinking. So paint the picture for us. Where are they?
The narrator is standing on a mountaintop. It's the definition of a perfect moment. There's a sunset orange and purple clouds. There's a warm breeze, the scent of lavender, crickets chirping. It's paradise.
Okay, so a normal person stands there and just goes, wow, this is beautiful, and takes a deep breath.
Right. But because our narrator was so obsessed with not wasting time, they couldn't just be there. They tried to bottle it up.
Bottle it up. That's a key phrase. What does that even mean in this context?
They were hyper aware that the moment was passing. They thought, I have to savor this. I have to make it last. I have to extract the maximum value from this sunset so I can remember it later.
And that effort to alchemize time into fulfillment created anxiety.
That is just tragic. You're standing in front of a beautiful sunset, and instead of peace, you feel restlessness because you're trying to optimize the sunset.
It's because they were trying to hoard time. And the narrator realizes the trap they'd fallen into.
Yeah.
When they were gaming, they were thinking about the past, regretting wasted time.
And when they were in Project Waste No Time, they were obsessed with the future, the goal, the milestone, the result.
So they were never actually in the present.
Never. The irony is almost comical, as the narrator says. Thinking about wasted time keeps you in the past. Thinking about not wasting time keeps you in the future. You effectively erase your own existence in the now.
So you have the depressed gamer on one side and the anxious workaholic on the other. Both are miserable. One is ignoring life to escape. The other is rushing through life to get to the end.
So what is the solution? Because the narrator finds a way out, and it's... Yeah. Well, it feels counterintuitive to everything we're taught.
It is. The solution, according to the source, is to do something horrendously bizarre in our post-industrial society. You have to intentionally waste time.
Intentionally waste it, like make it a goal to do nothing.
Not just do nothing, but to treat wasting time as an art form, like baking a cake or sketching. And the narrator draws a parallel to Buddhist traditions here, specifically San Mandalas.
Oh, I've seen videos of this. It's incredible. But for the listener who hasn't seen it, can you explain what goes into this?
It's a ritual in Tantric Buddhism. Monks spend days, sometimes weeks, hunched over a flat surface. They have these tiny metal funnels, and they're placing millions of grains of dyed sand.
Millions.
Millions. And they create these massive, complex geometric patterns. It requires intense focus and patience. It's a masterpiece.
And then, and this is the part that drives Western efficiency brains crazy, what do they do with it?
They destroy it.
Oh.
Immediately. They sweep it all into a pile of colorful dust and pour it into a river.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. Why? The source has this funny line where they imagine a disciple of neoliberalism shouting, "Wait, don't destroy it. You can sell that as art."
Put it in a museum. Monetize it.
And honestly, I kind of agree with that guy. Why destroy all that work?
It's a fair reaction.
Yeah.
We are conditioned to think that everything has to have a market value or a future use. But the monks are making a philosophical point. The value is in the creation and the destruction. It is valuable because it is impermanent.
It's valuable because it is futile.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird word to use in a positive way.
Right. The narrator references an Australian philosopher, W. Dagowski, who argues that the pointlessness of an activity is what makes it truly play.
Explain that distinction, work versus play.
If you are doing something for a specific outcome, money, status, even health, it's work. You're doing A to get B. But if you do it for no reason other than the act of doing it, that's true play.
So if the monks kept the mandala to sell it, the whole process would retroactively become work.
By destroying it, they ensure it remains pure play.
This challenges our entire definition of value, doesn't it? We assume time is only well spent if it creates future value. But the narrator asks the ultimate question, so what?
Exactly. So what? If I work hard to get money, so what? So I can be happy later. But if later comes and I'm just working hard to get more money, when does the happiness actually happen?
If everything is a means to an end, there is no end. You're just running on a treadmill until you die.
And the narrator realized that their only moments of true peace weren't when they were achieving goals. It was when they were sitting on a park bench, walking through a forest, lying in a meadow.
The wasteful moments. The moments where there was no next step.
And this leads to a reevaluation of the gaming years. This part really stuck with me, because at the start, we talked about those 10,000 hours as a tragedy.
The toothpaste we couldn't put back. But looking back, maybe they weren't wasted.
It's a forgiving shift in perspective. The narrator realizes that if they hadn't wasted that time, they might never have discovered what's important to them now. But also, simpler than that, it was fun.
It was fun, and isn't that enough?
We've forgotten that fun is a valid reason to exist. The narrator says, I like to think that it was all necessary. It's not about the output. It's about the experience of being alive.
Now, I don't want people to think we're saying go play video games for 10 years and ignore your responsibilities.
No, absolutely not. The danger is getting stuck in either the unconscious escape of the gamer, or the neurotic control of the hustler. The goal is the middle way.
Which brings us to the big takeaway of this deep dive, the philosophical shift regarding what time actually is.
It's a shift in identity. We usually say, I have time. Like it's a currency in your wallet. I have 5 minutes. I spent 3 hours.
Yeah.
The narrator argues, time is not something we have. Time is something we are.
Time is something we are. That's deep. Break that down for me.
Think about it. You don't have a life. You are a life. And if you are a time, you can't waste it. You can only experience it.
So wasting time existing purposelessly isn't a sin. It's a cosmic necessity. It's a state where your essence isn't bound to optimization. It's just you existing.
It's scary, though, to just be.
It is terrifying because it forces you to sit with yourself without the distraction of productivity. But the source argues it's the only way to actually live.
So the advice is to find the balance, to allow yourself to be wasteful, to do things that have absolutely zero end goal.
Which is incredibly rebellious in a way. In a world that demands output, doing nothing is an act of resistance.
I love that.
So, here is our challenge to you, the listener. And this is coming directly from the spirit of the source material. We want you to do something horrendously bizarre today.
Go waste some time, intentionally.
But, and this is key, Don't do it to recharge. Don't do it so you'll have a story to tell later. Don't do it to improve your mental health.
Do it just to exist in the moment. Watch a cloud move across the sky until it disappears. Build a house of cards and knock it down. Sit on the floor and stare at the ceiling patterns.
And if that little foreman in your head starts whispering, you should be doing laundry or you could be listening to the news, tell it to shut up. Tell it you are busy being time.
Precisely.
Well, on that note, I think we should probably stop talking.
Why's that?
Because if we keep talking, we're keeping everyone from wasting the rest of their day.
A very valid point.
Go forth and be pointless. We'll see you in the next deep dive.